Hello and welcome back to the AAT'S podcast, episode number, we got to do it together, 25. Yes, I cannot believe we are on our 25th episode. As always, you joined in with myself, Addy of Adibiotics.
And me, Aidan Riley.
I nearly forgot his name there.
It's too hot for this.
Yeah, okay, I'll let you get away with that one. Good afternoon, Aidan.
Good afternoon, how are you?
I'm well, bro. Yourself?
Hot, very warm, very, yeah.
Have all the cold drinks as much as you can. Don't forget to hydrate completely.
Yes.
I've got like.
There's an advertisement for health right there.
There's that.
Already. Make sure you stay hydrated.
Yes. There's
Yeah,
this cold drink here. And there's this cold drink here. And then there's this cold drink here. So there's a lot of cold drinks to have today.
You've got 10 below you as well, haven't you? 10 other cold drinks below you.
Definitely, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Alright. So today we're talking about a new saga. So we've done quite a few trilogies. We've done The Karate Kid, we've done Back to the Future, we've done Beverly Hills Cop, but now we're starting a saga. This is our very first saga, and for our 25th episode, we are really grateful for that to happen. So this saga starts off in, well, the original one was in 1987.
My birth year.
Oh, really? Well, happy birthday. So this year, you and the title of this movie came together just in the nick of time.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
It was a good year.
Great year.
For humanity.
Yes. The Riley arrival. The Riley arrival, yeah. So this movie's about two police officers who basically have no choice. One's a family man. One's a suicidal kind of quote psychopath in a way.
Yeah.
Maniac, and
He's got a death wish. That's what they say. About
yeah,
him.
and but he pulls it off very well. But then you understand why is he like that anyway.
Yeah, they unveil it quite well, don't they? Why he turned into that kind of person.
It's kind of funny the fact that how one of them's always like, one's heading towards retirement and he's just had a birthday. The other one doesn't care if he lives to see another birthday. It's true though, isn't it?
It's a good partnership.
Yeah, and then when they meet each other, that's the funniest.
Oh, where he goes, gun!
He's just like, he's like that.
He just swings him down like that. And he's like, Murtagh, I'd like you to meet your new partner.
I'm too old for this.
Partner?
Yeah.
I'm too old for this.
So yeah, you've guessed it. The movie we're talking about is the 1987 classic buddy cop movie, Lethal Weapon. Yeah, the movie, not the TV series. Sorry. There was no in our.
Well, they're starring Mel Gibson,
and
Mel Gibson and Danny Glover,
and directed by the late great Richard Donner as well. And so yeah, Mel Gibson, another legendary character of his, Martin Riggs. First legendary character was definitely Mad Max.
Yeah.
And you have Danny Glover playing Roger Murtaugh.
Yeah, what a funny guy! Like he's the old-fashioned family guy, isn't he? He's just he just wants to play. I mean, if you think about it, right? You know, in Beverly Hills, how you've got what's the older one?
Bogomil.
No, the
Taggart,
yeah, he's always on about his pension, isn't he?
Yeah.
And in this, you know, I think Murtagh, he's all about Murtagh.
Murtagh, yeah.
He's always thinking about his pension as well. He's always playing it safe. He's always throwing caution to the wind. You know, he's not. But with Riggs, it's like, I don't care.
I'll do whatever.
I do whatever I want. I'll run around psychotic.
It's that scene after as you mentioned, that scene was really funny where. When they meet each other for the first time, and then he goes, Raj, meet your new partner, and he's smiling there, right there. He's throwing him on the ground, but done a cool jiu-jitsu move.
Yeah.
Throwing him on the ground, and he's like, and he's holding him down with a gun, and he's also like saying, the guy goes, Raj, meet your new partner, and he's like drops the catchphrase, I'm too old for this shit,
like,
and
it's like, partner. So
yeah, alone.
I'm too old for this shit.
Because what it is, you don't realise. All the other partners, like in the Vice Department, and where they handle all the narcotics, they want Riggs transferred. They're too afraid to be around him.
They're sick of him. you know, the stunts he keeps pulling off.
And nearly gets himself killed so many times.
Yeah, and again, he
doesn't care.
He really doesn't care.
Because what you don't realise is before the movie begins, Riggs just loses his wife in a car accident. But what you don't realise in part 2, the whole story behind it.
Oh.
Which we're going to save for when we review Lethal Weapon 2. It was just as good, but never as good as the first one.
I don't think there'll be a film that is ever as good as the original.
No, except Terminator. I know we say that a lot.
Yeah, no, Judgment Day was unique though, wasn't it? You know, I mean,
especially for its time, in '92.
Yeah. The Liquid Man was badass in that. He was such a
T-1000. Yeah,
man.
It was awesome. And so going into character details right now. So you have, let's start off with the legendary one, the famous one, Martin Riggs, played by Mel Gibson. Nobody but Mel Gibson could have played this role. This role was made for Mel Gibson.
It was made for him, wasn't it? It's, you know, if you look at all of the characters through time.
Yeah. It's made for that specific character, the actor who played him.
Exactly. I mean, Eddie Murphy with Axel Foley. You know, who else could have played him? And we spoke about this before, but that wouldn't have done it very good at all.
No chance.
Tango and Cash, you know, these roles were made for these people.
It's true what you mentioned, the fact that if you look at the thing where if you look at great buddy cop show pair-ups, like partners, like on-screen teams, these two definitely are in that list. If there's a top, call it a top 5 list.
Yeah, they're up there.
They are definitely in there.
I think they're in the top 3.
Yeah, okay, let's go for top 3. All right, top 3 it is. And then you have, obviously, Stallone and Russell. They made a great team.
They're definitely top 5.
Definitely Schwarzenegger and Belushi when we did Red Heat.
That was good, yeah.
I like that.
Yeah,
I like that.
I think they're more like top 10.
Yeah.
Like 7th or something like that.
Oh, definitely say so, yeah.
But there was so many buddy cop movies in the 80s, weren't there? So many.
Don't worry, we're going to get through all of them as well. Yeah. So what you don't realise, so about Martin Riggs, like I say, he's a great character, you got to admit.
Yes,
he's one of my favourite characters ever. Martin
he's unpredictable. He's funny. He's a loose cannon, and
which is what they
just don't know what he's going to do, and that's what I love about him. You know, the stuff he says. I mean, it's his eyes as well. The eyes are always glazed over. You think,
yeah, it was.
He's not the kind of guy to get on the wrong side of, because he won't care what he does to you.
He doesn't care because he just does. He just does whatever he thinks it's right. Anyway, he doesn't care how dangerous the situation is.
And even if it's wrong, you probably still do it.
Yeah, I mean, there's a deleted scene. I'm sorry about going for this, but there was a deleted scene. I watched the director's cut, and ever since I watched the director's cut, I never went back to the original cut ever, because there were so many great scenes in that where you would always ask, why did you cut out this scene? Why did you cut out that scene? It was such a great. This one had
budget though, isn't it? It's all about
or speeding up there, because you have to hurry up and get the film released. So there are certain scenes that don't make the movie, but down the line they're in a vault.
Some scenes don't really match the pacing of the film, though, do they?
No.
You know, that's the thing about director's cut. They always put the stuff in there that is not really pacey.
No,
let's put that in there, even though, but because if you, I mean, to be honest with you, when I've watched certain things like that, and I've gone, actually, I wouldn't have minded seeing that at the cinema. I don't really care about, I mean, if the pacing's too slow, then you're going to be like, for God's sake, I'm going to walk out.
You're dragging out, because that's the last thing any director, film studio wants a member of the audience. Even one walks out. Yeah.
Like when one walks out, it's like a you know, it just like reverberates around the cinema. Yeah. And everyone is like, well, if he's walking out, it must be bad then. I must not be the only one. Yeah, I think I might. I'll give it a few more minutes. Yeah, now I'm gone.
Definitely, yeah.
I've walked out of a film before, and it was so boring, man. This film was boring. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, it's true. It is definitely true. I totally agree with you on that one. So moving on to because like I said, there was a deleted scene in there where where there's a sniper shooting random people, and Riggs gets the call, and he's going over there, and so many people are there, but he's walking into the line of fire, even though there's people on the side, there's police officers holding him back, saying, "What are you doing? You're going to get yourself killed." And he just takes off his jacket, pulls his gun out, loads it. He goes to the sniper, "Mr. Sniper," and then the guy's shooting around Riggs, and he's just standing there. He goes, "I'm still here, or do you just shoot anyone who's not armed?" And then he just empties the whole gun on this sniper. Empties like 15 rounds. That weapon he uses, the Beretta. 15 rounds, he empties it and just quickly reloads it. And then one of his fellow officers says, "You're one psycho SOB, but you're good." I was like, that was so cool. That they should have put that scene in there.
Yeah, well, what did the sniper have to do with anything?
He was just shooting people at random.
Yeah.
And Riggs, on the other hand, he was not.
But was he involved in the criminal organisation?
No,
yeah,
just some random guy.
It's pointless being in there.
But in a way, because it showed the fact.
It's got nothing to do with the story, has it?
Yeah, but it showed the fact that Riggs didn't care if he lived to see tomorrow.
Yeah, but we already had most of them scenes anyway in the film.
This was actually before that the scene he makes with the dealers,
Okay.
which was quite funny. He goes, "That thing's going to cost you $100," and he's just thinking it's $100.
Yeah, fair enough, but that had something to do with the story.
Yeah, because he was
It's all about drugs, is it? Narcotics, yeah.
Yeah, he was.
But that sniper guy, well, he had nothing to do with the story, so it's pointless him being in the film.
In a way, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Because
it made him look cool.
It did, yeah.
But man, Riggs didn't need to look cool. He had the rest of the film to look cool.
He was cool, and he was probably the best. So
he was a cool guy, man.
Yeah, and did you know in the movie Riggs was in the army at the age of 19 and became a member of the Special Forces unit, and he received.
Well, he had the tattoo, didn't he?
Yeah.
That's when the kid talks about the tattoo.
That was a good scene, and he specialises in weaponry and hand-to-hand combat, which you can tell.
Well, yeah, you can tell how that was.
Those skills served him well down the line when he became a policeman. And what was really cool was the fact that originally he was a member of the narcotics division, but then he was reassigned to homicide, and that's where he meets Murtagh, and they became best friends throughout the entire movie, don't they?
Yeah, it takes a while to actually, come to grips with each other.
Yeah.
Because Riggs obviously sees him as boring, and Murtagh's just look at him and go, "You are psychotic. I don't really want to work for you. I've got a family. I've got a pension to think about. I don't want to work with this guy.
He's like,
I'm too old for this."
He's like, 50 years old. I've got a wife, kids, house, a boat, a pension. I can kiss it all goodbye because my partner's got a death wish. Shut up, man. You're looking at a dead man here. You're looking at a dead man here. And he's like, "Watch the road. Watch this. Hey, I've been driving since you were a kid." And
yeah.
Which was quite funny.
It was. That's what I love about it, man.
And the other line he says in that, when he goes, I don't know, he goes, "What? That it was your birthday today?"
Yeah, so happy birthday. It's like,
that was
no, generally, happy birthday.
And then he goes, when he goes, "We'll stay alive, hopefully stay long enough to get you a present." He goes, "That's all the kindness you've shown me." Which was really funny. And so staying on Riggs, and he is a practitioner of quite a lot of martial arts, as you see in the fight scene at the end, which was one of the best fight scenes ever.
Shot at the title. That's a good scene.
Yeah, a good line. And so he's trained in Wing Chun, Judo, Taekwondo, boxing, you can tell, Capoeira, Shotokan Karate, and one of our favourite ones to mention always, which is Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Did you know in real life, one of the Gracie family members trained Mel Gibson and Gary Busey, who played Mr. Joshua in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? You can tell, definitely there were some moves in there that you can recognise and say,
especially the sweep.
The sweep
at the end,
where
Riggs and Joshua find.
Yeah.
Riggs sweeps him.
Oh, he proper does.
And that was a jiu-jitsu move.
No, in the end, the grapple move when he throws him on the ground.
Yeah, that's jiu-jitsu. Yeah.
Yeah, that was.
But the sweep, that's Brazilian jiu-jitsu as well.
Which bit in the fight scene when they're having the? Was it when they're standing up or when he's doing a front?
It's when they're having a brawl and.
In front on the lawn of Murtagh's house, which was funny.
Yeah, and then I think it's close to the part where Riggs is close to killing him. He has the.
Oh, the triangle lock. That's what it's called. It's called the triangle lock.
So he sweeps him, and then I think after that he gets him in the triangle lock.
Yeah.
And then obviously you hear Montague's like, kill him, Riggs.
Exactly. No,
and he's like, it's not worth it. And you think, damn man, you let him go. That's when Monte finally
Murtagh.
Why do I keep saying Monte?
I've been wondering the same thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I think there's another character in there somewhere. Murtagh, I think that's when he finally respects him because he didn't kill him.
Definitely, yeah. So going on to, so like I say, Riggs, yeah, he's a suicidal cop. He doesn't care who he hurts along the way, as long as he gets the job done any way he knows how. That's one thing. Mm-hmm. And then here, obviously, he's well trained. Nobody wants to work with him. And that
well trained is an understatement.
Well trained, yeah, he's very well trained. And then you also have him as Murtaugh doesn't even want him driving the car, which is even quite funny as well.
Can I drive that? No.
I'll drive. You get in the other side. You're supposed to be suicidal. Anyone drives in this town is suicidal. It's quite funny the combat lines he said.
But it's like Riggs is like a child, isn't he?
He just needs a bit of care, because the only person who cared about him was his wife who died before the film begins. And then that's why he's like sitting there and he's like,
he's a lone wolf though, isn't he?
He's a big lone wolf.
When you see him in the caravan, in his home, and you think, oh man, what a way to live. And then that part you think, you kind of feel bad for him.
There was a scene there, what I saw in the director's cut, and this is before Riggs goes to work. He's trying to eat something, but he can't eat. He just spends all day drinking beer. Even for breakfast, he's had a beer.
Seriously, that doesn't.
And then there's a picture of his wife and him on top of the TV. What you don't see is he gets mad and he throws the bottle at the TV and smashes it. And he picks up the picture, because he's still remembering his wife, and he's like, I'll buy a new one. And he closes it and just goes. And he says to his dog, who he's living with, that dog, Sam.
Yeah, the Lassie dog.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it was Lassie, wasn't it? And then he comes back at home, and that's all he comes back home to is just that dog. And he buys a new TV on the way as well. And all he has is just sandwiches and beer in the fridge. That's it.
Yeah, and takeouts.
That's it, because he doesn't know how to cook properly. Except I think in part 2 is when...
You might know how to cook. The thing is what I know about... Because he's struggling with depression and mental health issues, isn't he? Like, when you're struggling with that...
Yeah.
You haven't got the energy to cook.
You haven't got the energy to cook. You just want to keep buying stuff from outside.
You just want to cook easy stuff or buy stuff out, because you just don't have the energy to cook anything.
Yeah, it is true, because...
I think he really acted that really well, the mental health side. And we're talking about the 80s here. I mean, mental health and depression and everything wasn't really well spoke of.
No,
and then, but he played that mentally disturbed character really well. It was brilliant.
Yeah, and it was, like I said, it was one of the best characters I had ever seen, and nobody but him. Nobody but Mel Gibson could have pulled that off. I think if you had any other actor, regardless of a mullet or whatever, they never would have looked at it. I think if they had somebody else in that role, after part 1, there'll be no Lethal Weapon sequels. Definitely. If you had any other actor but Mel Gibson...
No, they wouldn't. I don't think it would have done as good.
No.
As it might have still had a sequel, but it probably wouldn't have made a trilogy, because it was fresh, wasn't it? But I don't think they'll be able to continue it, because the chemistry between Gibson and Glover was just
phenomenal.
Yeah, man, it was amazing. I loved every minute of it. It's just the way they went about their acting in each scene.
Yeah.
There was never a moment when I didn't laugh when those two were together. It was just like...
One of the best scenes in that was... okay, moving on to Murtagh. Should we move on? Okay, I'll talk about one of the best scenes is... You know when Murtagh and Riggs meet, like after Riggs saves his life for the first time, and he goes, I'm sorry I yelled at you earlier on, but I didn't realise that you saved my life. And Riggs was just shocked.
Yeah, Riggs goes, that must have been so painful.
He goes, you have no idea. You'll never have any idea. But that reaction on Riggs was just priceless. Like, someone's
Someone
finally...
thanking him.
Someone, yeah, after a long time, he's not had anybody thank him for a very long time. No. Or maybe ever, because of the way he is.
Well, no, I mean, when you're in the... I mean, obviously I've never been in the army or anything like that involved in combat in that caliber, but I'm sure it's probably a thankless job when you're doing it.
Yeah.
Because a lot of jobs, right, are thankless. You know, they expect you to just do what you do.
Yeah.
But we're talking about killing hundreds, thousands of people.
Yeah.
And if they don't get thanked for that, but if you think about it, what is there to thank them about? I mean, you're killing people, you end up killing into, and it's PTSD as well. He's got PTSD.
Riggs definitely has that.
So
sure.
I mean, just imagine having the PTSD when you just come out of the war, and it's just constant flashes of images of you doing the things that you did then.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, I agree with that.
So yeah, but he was just man. He performed that really good in that.
Definitely. Okay, so moving on to Roger Murtaugh. Obviously, he's the older man who's obviously...
About 12 years, yeah.
Yeah, and he kind of becomes, I would say, in a way, maybe, I wouldn't say a father figure.
No, he's probably like a...
older brother.
Like a big brother.
Big brother.
Yeah,
big brother to Riggs.
Type, yeah.
Because Riggs, I think in a way, he's probably just an only child, if you look at it.
Mm.
And, you know, he's a married man. He's just turned 50 years old. Happy 50th, Raj. And there's a good scene, there's a good deleted scene with him in it as well. You know, after the scene where he's shaved off the beard and everything. Mm. And he goes to the firing range. And he just does that, you know that one shot he does when he twists his neck like that?
I like that.
And
like that.
Bang! He shoots it right, and he shoots the target right in its head. And he brings it back and he goes, "Happy birthday, Raj." But there's a scene before he does that. He's going like that and his hand's kind of shaking. He closes it, goes like that again. He's all right, I'm ready to fire now. So he doesn't crack under pressure, in other words. And then he does that scene, he shoots. And then he's like, just realising, yeah, I've still got it. And when he comes home, he's got a nice family. He's got a loving wife, 3 great kids, and obviously, all he wants to do is, and he lives in a good neighbourhood because he wants his kids to grow up in a good neighbourhood. Yeah. And he loves his boats. And the one thing that was funny,
even though he knows nothing about them, as
he says, that was a good scene. He goes, "What's to know? There's the front, there's the back, here's the engine, water all around it. What's to know?"
Like, why? You know what your problem is, Riggs? That you make things too damn complicated. It's like, it's not that I make it complicated. Life just becomes complicated by himself. It's just like...
Yeah, it's true. And he's right.
It's a good comeback by Riggs then, wasn't it?
Because I love all of Riggs' comeback. Even that scene where he's getting tortured. He has so many funny comebacks in there. And then he's like, he goes, "You better tell me what that guy, Joshua," when he goes, "You better tell me what I need to know." He goes, we couldn't say anything because we were about to talk. You killed Hansacker before we could breathe a word. And that was it. He goes, "It's not our fault. You screwed up yourself." In other words, you're blaming me for it.
So I don't know. And he's just like... Yeah,
and when they taught he could withstand that torture.
Yeah, it seems like he was like that. Come on.
And he's like, hit him again.
Like, whoa, man, this guy is...
And then the guy who's electrocuting him, Endo, and he's going to Joshua. He goes,
"Look, this guy..."
He goes, "We're safe. Nobody could withstand that." And he's like, "Badass soldier." I love that line. When he says that line, "Badass soldier." Joshua had some great lines in that movie as well. I don't care what anyone says. And I think, in a way, Mr. Joshua, played by Gary Busey, he's on the same sort of level of great bad guys as Alan Rickman's character from Die Hard, Hans Gruber.
Yeah,
Hans Gruber, without a doubt, one of the greatest movie villains ever. May you rest in peace, Alan Rickman, and Richard Donner for bringing the Lethal Weapon series as well. Thank you for that. Also, so going back to Murtagh was in the military as well. That's why, but he didn't meet Riggs until the police force, and he was a lieutenant, whereas Riggs was just a sergeant in the army. And he's been in their retirement, and he's beginning to consider. He's beginning to consider retirement, and then he's partnered with Riggs, but they become one of Riggs's best friends. He becomes Riggs's only friend.
Yeah. He hasn't got...
He expresses that gratitude even more in part 3. There's a horrible scene that happens to Murtagh, but he expresses that gratitude to him in part 3 of Lethal Weapon, which I'm going to say for that as well.
Okay.
And so yeah, he wants to. He just does everything by the book. Because obviously he's older. I like that. You always have the by the book officer, but you also have the
one that
cannon.
just doesn't give a crap. You just go, look, I'm just going to arrest him. You can't arrest. Yeah.
I just remember. You know what was a funny scene of that? You know when that guy's on the building and he's about to jump off. And
that's one of my favourite scenes.
Go on, explain. Go on, explain. I'll let you take that one.
I love the part where because this is when they're just starting out, isn't it?
Yeah.
As a partnership. And Riggs goes.
Well, he doesn't do that in the movie.
No, he doesn't yawn.
No,
Riggs says, "I've done this before. I mean, I can get him down." He's like, "What? You saying that you're qualified?" He's like, "Yeah, I can do it." He's like, "Okay, you're on. Get up there." And Riggs like, "No jiu-jitsu, no throwing him up. Just get him down. I want him down alive." He's like, "Okay." It's like Roger. He's like, "What?" He's like, "Oh, 10-4.
Yeah. 10-4.
I just love how he looked. I just love how he looked to him like that. What? It's like
Roger means yes, I understand.
Yeah, but obviously his name's Roger, isn't it? It's like
yeah.
Roger. It's like what? It's like 10-4.
10-4. Yeah. And when he gets him down, the other scene was even funny when they go to that drug dealer's house, and before they're having that little banter in the car, and he's like, "At least let me buy you a gift. That's all. At least of all the kindness you showed me since we've been partnered." And when that guy, he shoots that guy in the leg, and he goes, "You see how I did that? Boom, shot in the leg. I didn't throw him off a building." He goes, "No, hey, that's not fair. The building guy lived, okay?" And he goes, "You read him his rights." And I'm standing over here being happy. He goes, "Right, no."
Didn't realise he had a gun there, did he?
Yeah, and then if not, Murtagh would have been dead. Riggs saved his life.
Shoots him about 4 times.
He's like, yeah, bang, 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 bang. And he's like, "You shot him?"
He gets him, obviously he dies in the pool, and when they both come up, he's like, Riggs, he's like, is there anybody that you haven't killed? He's like, I haven't killed you yet.
Right, don't do me any favours. You don't have to. And then all the other policemen come over. But you know, also a great scene where he kind of like, he kind of shows Riggs what he's missing. He kind of shows him, this is alright for you to be alive. When Riggs tells him, when he's asking him after the building, he's like, he wants to get into the deep core of Riggs's problems. When he's like, do you want to die? Tell me what is the problem. He goes, I wake up every morning thinking about eating a bullet, and I have a special one here to make sure I get the job done right. It blows the back of my head off. He goes, "Alright, don't do that. Here, use my gun instead." And then he's like realizing you're not drawing a psycho pension. Everyone thinks he's just trying to draw a psycho pension, retire early from the police, and then that's it, no more. Well, you don't realize he is actually suicidal. He's suicidal because of the fact that he's lost his wife.
PTSD. Yeah. He just can't stand the mental images anymore, and the fact that his wife's dead.
Who was anyone who cared about
Yeah, exactly. So, and he lost a lot of friends in the war as well.
A great piece of acting by Gibson in that is the scene where he's looking at the wife's picture, and he's bursting into tears. You never used to see guys in movies back in the 80s. Well, you did very rarely, but Riggs proper portrayed it. Mel Gibson proper went all out.
I've got something for you. When he's actually, sitting there crying with his wife's picture.
Yeah.
He goes to get the gun. He gets the gun, doesn't he, and puts it to his mouth.
His forehead, his mouth, under the chin. Yeah.
Exactly. So I've got one here. So it's in the scene where Riggs is contemplating suicide. There's an actual bullet blank in the chamber.
Yeah.
Which Mel Gibson was pointing at his head, thinking that it would allow a greater sense of portraying the scene realistically and dramatically.
Yeah.
I mean, it wouldn't have done it wouldn't have killed him.
Yeah.
But it would have done some serious harm if he did pull the trigger. So that's why it was. So he knew the bullet was in there, and obviously he portrayed that really well because of the fact that there was a bullet in there.
Yeah, it was.
So that's why but it was good, kind of like method acting, wasn't it? When
definitely. I mean,
he had
that's true. I mean, the thing I like about Mel Gibson, he's a great actor, but he's just as great as a director. Braveheart, Man Without a Face, Apocalypto. He's done it all.
Yeah.
He's done it all. And do you know he's going to be directing Lethal Weapon 5?
Oh, well, I'm not surprised.
I wouldn't be surprised either. So yeah, and like I say, go back to Murtagh. One of the things I like about him when he brings him home to the family, and his daughter runs outside to pick him up, and he goes, And then she sees him. She sees Riggs, and he goes, "Is that a crook?" He goes, "No, this is Daddy's new partner." He goes, "Hi, I'm Martin Riggs." And then he meets the son, and he meets the wife, and she welcomes him in with open arms, and she's like, "Oh, how are you?" And he goes, "Hey, I'm Martin Riggs." And she goes, "Oh, would you like to stay for dinner?" And then he's like, "What do you?" And he goes, how's a brown burnt-like substance?" And she's like, "Roger, you're being an ass. You're being a bit of an ass." Right, yeah, I know I am.
Yeah, but what we don't realise is the cooking is actually quite bad.
Yeah, and then the scene. I'm sorry, that scene's funny. The other scene was quite funny. The fact that where they're sitting there talking about their hobbies. He's trying to get Riggs to open up. It's kind of like a group therapy session, isn't it?
Yeah.
If you look at it, it is kind of like a group. And then Murtagh's daughter's just sitting there looking at her, staring at Riggs.
Yeah, that made me cringe, man. I was just thinking, oh no, what would I do if I was Riggs? So I'd be just like, can you just stop staring at me?
He's just like looking around, like not trying to give her attention.
He's like
that. He's probably not had a woman look at him since the death of his wife. Yeah,
but she's not a woman though, is she?
Yeah, she's just a
underage. How old is she in that?
I think she's about 18.
Oh,
I'd say about 18.
Yeah, still quite young, isn't it?
Yeah, and then what was also quite funny the fact that when Riggs goes to and then on the way out, Riggs actually says to Murtagh, "You have a really nice family." He goes, "Oh, thank you." And I like the way he says that, because you could tell he's being honest, because this is everything Riggs doesn't have. But over time, they kind of bring him into the family, don't they?
Yeah, it was funny what he said after though. It's like, "Hey Riggs," it's like, well, did you actually like my wife's cooking?
No.
It's like, no.
See you tomorrow, Raj.
See you tomorrow, Raj. He's just.
And then the other funny scene was, when he's kind of opening up to him, and he goes, "You really don't trust me, do you?" He goes, "Tell you what. Make it tomorrow without killing someone, me, or even yourself, especially yourself, and I'll start trusting you." He goes, "Right, you got a deal." And he's talking to him about what he did in Vietnam as a sniper. He goes...
He was only 19, that's what he tells him, isn't it?
Yeah, and he goes, "Only one person in the world could have made that, a few people in the world could have made that shot, what I did. But it was the only thing I was ever good at." And then he opens up to him later on in the film when he's like going to him, "Are you as good as you say you were? Because you're just going to have to trust me, Roger." I like that bit there. He's like, "Look, I'm all you got. You're all I've got. We got to do this, coaches." And he calls them that a few times, coaches. Moving on to Rick Murtagh's family. A great movie family, I must say.
Yeah.
Like the son's quite funny as well, Nick. He was always...
When he did the beatboxing in the table.
That was proper 80s. That was proper 80s. Everyone used to do that whole... I don't know. Yeah, let him do it. Everyone used to love doing that bit. But what was also funny was, did you know in every single Lethal Weapon movie, it's the same actors playing the same kids. They didn't change them.
Good. So they should.
Yeah, because it's like you had Gibson and Glover back as Murtagh and Riggs. You had the police captain playing the same guy. You had the psychiatrist playing by the same actress, and you had to have the same kids playing it, because otherwise the whole film would have just been all messed up.
Yeah, it wouldn't have. If you keep swapping and changing the cast around, especially a vital component to the film, because it is all about family a lot of the times, isn't it?
Especially Murtagh's family.
Yeah. So I mean, it's nice that they're stuck with the same actors and actresses because of the fact that this is Murtagh's family, and it'll be pointless to just keep doing that because it's not, the chemistry is not going to be there.
No,
the chemistry will never. It will never. You know, it will never solidify. It would be just like, yeah, okay, another actor again. Oh great, another actor again. It's never going to be the same chemistry.
It will never be the same chemistry, no doubt about that. And so Murtagh's wife, Trish, what you don't know is she's a novelist.
Oh.
Hence why I think in a way that's kind of like, but she uses a pseudonym to basically, she doesn't tell everybody who's actually writing these books. It's her writing these books.
Yeah, but it's just...
But she just doesn't, she chooses not to get the attention.
Yeah, which is good.
And I think that's in a way how they afford that big house.
Yeah. I didn't know she was a novelist.
Yeah, you find that out. I think it was in part either 3 or 4 of Lethal Weapon. You find that out.
Is there any inclination of that in the first film? Do we actually see any?
I think you do. I think there is a slight case where you do hear it, but it's not.
No, I mean like a picture or an accessory in the house that was.
No, I wouldn't say
suggest.
that.
Because you would have thought that they would have had something hanging up, like a book, or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I don't know, like an award.
That would have been cool, but I think it was good that they kept it off the books kept it off the screen until it came through. You have Trish, who's a loving wife, who kind of welcomes in Riggs, because like she kind of senses the fact that this guy's kind of lonely, and like they invite him in for dinner, they invite him in for dessert, they even invite him around for Christmas as well.
Yeah,
and Thanksgiving.
Yeah, he's not too fond of that.
And he goes.
Hey, Murtagh, can I bring a friend?
Sure.
It's his dog. And then, I loved it. That's the end, isn't it? Where the dog just comes in, and then the cat's just like,
I'm too old for this.
I'm too old for this shit.
So you have Rian, Murtagh's oldest, who's basically the sad thing is, you know, when she gets kidnapped, the scene where she gets kidnapped, and the fact that, you know, Murtagh, it's only up to them two to find out where she is. Then he says the same thing, don't bring any cops, and he's like, all I want is my daughter back, that's it.
Yeah. And
the other scene, and then you have Nick, and then you have the youngest one, what was the youngest one's name again? I forgot the.
I can't remember either.
Carrie, that was her name. Carrie, yeah. And so again, all played by the same actors. I like that scene where them two kids kind of realise Rian fancies Riggs, because she's looking at him. She's like looking at him right away. Riggs is like, okay, why is this one looking at me? And then you have them two. Burst out laughing.
Yeah, it's just that they do that beatboxing thing about Rian liking Riggs. Yeah. And it's just, and then you see Murtagh is just like, it's like Mr. Riggs.
Yeah, this is Mr. Riggs.
This is like that. Call me Martin. And he goes, okay, Martin. No, Mr. Riggs.
Yeah, Mr. Riggs.
The way he just looks at her like that. Yeah, I know what he's trying to do.
It ain't gonna.
It's not gonna work.
No, it's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen.
But you know, she was pretty hot though, wasn't she?
Actually, yeah, she still looks a good-looking lady now. And so okay, moving on to the bad guys. General McAllister, we're going to talk about, played by Mitchell Ryan, who passed away recently this year.
Okay.
And so he's the one who organises everything. He was basically running heroin out of Vietnam while the war was happening. And he worked for the CIA, but I guess the CIA, you don't get that much of a background on him either.
Yeah, we don't really need one.
I don't think
he's the bad guy.
He's the bad guy.
He's the running all the bad. He's like the evil genius behind
He's the
it
big
all.
puppet master. One of my favourite scenes that demonstrates his power. You know when he meets that guy, Mr. Mendez, and he goes to him.
Is that the gangster in the beginning?
Yeah, and he goes to him. That scene where he goes, "You wish to make a purchase with us?" And he's He goes, where'd you find that guy? Psychos are us. That was a good line. That was a good line.
I love that.
And he goes, my people are loyal to me. He goes, you're using mercenaries. He goes, tell me I'm wrong. And the way he stands there and delivers that line, he goes, tell me I'm wrong. No, you're not wrong. I love that line where he says it cool and calm. No, you're not wrong. He goes, do you smoke? I was like, do you smoke? Yeah, give me a lighter. And he's burning Mr. Joshua's arm, and he's just standing there.
Yeah. And
he goes, you guys are losty. You're out there.
You're crazy, Mr. It's like, yeah, good doing business with you. Yeah, good. Yeah.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah, Merry Christmas to you too, man. Yeah, you psychos.
And then when he's like, that scene when he goes, if you double cross me, you're gonna have to talk to Mr. Joshua.
Yeah, that's when his face just goes, okay, yeah, okay. Yeah, no worries, no.
And then what was also funny was the fact that it was also another great scene about him. You know, when he finds out, he goes, we have to turn up the heat. He goes, come back, when Joshua's killed that Honsacker, the accountant, and he goes to him, right, we're going to have to turn up the heat. You can tell these guys are going to get more serious, what's due to come.
Yes.
And then they kidnap Murtagh's daughter. And that scene there when he goes...
But I love it when he says to Riggs, when he actually knows, because the guy knows where I live. And then Riggs goes, shall I drive? And then he actually finally gets him to drive.
Yeah, because he's finally trusted him because he saved his life so many times. Yeah. And then this time round, if you look at it, the first time round, he saves Murtagh from that guy in the shooter in the pool. This time round, he saved Murtagh and his kid's life while they were being tortured.
Yeah.
And he's like pretty thin, anorexic. And then the other scene was the other great thing about General McAllister is he knows how to use these people. He knows Joshua is his main point of contact. Any problems, he'll send Mr. Joshua. He takes a back seat. And when he captures Riggs in the desert, and Riggs goes, "I've heard about you," and he goes, "Yeah, I'm gonna enjoy killing. I'm gonna enjoy taking you down."
Yeah.
And the other scene when he's like when he's about to touch Murtagh's daughter when she's been kidnapped, and he's like, you touching is save your breath. There's no heroes left in the world. And then Riggs bursts through the door.
Yeah, that was funny.
That was the best thing ever. Perfect timing.
Yeah.
Perfect timing of delivering of dialogue, movie editing, scene editing, action, all fitted in together.
Brilliant.
It was just one of the best scenes. No more heroes left in the world. Bang, and here comes one.
It was amazing. I mean, it's such a really, really good scene.
It was very believable. I think, but Gibson back then was in really good shape, I would say.
Yeah,
he was in extremely good
shape. Well, he was ripped, wasn't he?
Proper.
When he's running around after that guy, after Joshua, right? And he's in the car and he's on foot and he's running off. And Murtaugh says to him, "If you take the back, you'll be able to get to him quicker.
You get ahead of him."
Yeah.
Like, "Are you okay?"
He's like, "Yeah," and he just sits down next to the street light, and he's just like, oh. he's to say, I can't go on it. I can't chase after this guy. I'll leave it to him.
Send my partner.
And he's much younger than me. He can do it. I'm too old for this shit. That's when he says it, isn't he? He says it again. I'm too old.
It is true. But and so how McAllister gets killed was a pretty cool scene. When he's coming at them and he's like, "Kill that cop right now," and he goes, "No way you live, no way." He pulls that gun out. He's like, bang.
That's another favourite scene of mine. Yeah.
And then the bus hits them, and that hand grenade went off in there.
Yeah.
And then all the heroin goes all over the place. And Riggs is like, "Don't breathe the stuff in, you'll see pink elephants," and all that stuff, which is quite funny. Moving on to one of the best bad guys ever, Mr. Joshua, played by Gary Busey.
Before we do this, in the beginning,
I've
got a bit of trivia here.
Go for it.
Jackie Swanson, who played her, actually performed the high fall on her own.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Trained by legendary stuntman Darl Robinson, also the stunt was done using an airbag covered with a life-size painting of the driveway and car, which, like a foreground miniature, visually blends into the real scene. Thus, the editor is able to hold the shot until just as she makes contact with the airbag for greater realism.
Brilliant! Wow.
And great. That's amazing. That really is amazing how they did that.
Definitely, yeah. So going on to Mr. Joshua, one of my favourite bad guys ever. This guy is just as lethal. I think he's more lethal than the General himself. Definitely, and you can tell that. He's just as a lethal weapon as Riggs is. If not, I would say maybe even a bit more. Would you say?
No, I think, if we're talking about loose cannon-wise, then yeah. He's more of a loose cannon than Riggs is.
One of my favourite scenes in that is when he goes to Murtagh's house after he's killed the 2 police officers, and then he just calmly says, when the 2 police officers just goes to him, "Can we help you or anything?" "No, thank you." Bang, 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 bang. And he shoots them both, and then one in the car hits the fire hydrant, and water's going all over the place, and he's shooting the door to open it up, and when he sees that thing on TV, and that guy goes, and he's got that big assault rifle, and he goes, the guy in the TV show goes, "What day is it?" "It's Christmas!" I don't know what it is. Every time I see that scene, I burst out laughing. It's just how he delivers that line, Gary Busey. He's a great actor.
That was hilarious. It was funny though. "It's Christmas!" As if, I don't like Christmas.
Yeah.
Away!
This is his style of Christmas. I think in a way, Lethal Weapon is definitely a Christmas movie. Just like Die Hard. I don't care what anyone says.
Oh, here we go again, man. With this damn discussion of Die Hard being a Christmas film or not.
Yes, because if it's filmed during Christmas time, it's a Christmas movie. Just call it that. What would you say?
Oh, yeah, but there's going to be a lot of people that disagree, isn't there? Yeah. I mean, gosh, there's a lot of people.
I mean, yeah, so reviving...
Did it come out at Christmas?
I think so. All right. So going on to Mr. Joshua, like I say, he's the head mercenary. He's very menacing. And did you know Gary Busey said that he was hired to play Mr. Joshua because they were looking for someone big and menacing to be a believable foe for Mel Gibson. And it worked.
Oh, yeah.
And he also credits this movie for reviving his failing movie career. He was actually nominated for Best Actor for the movie Buddy Holly. You know the singer Buddy Holly, who died in the plane crash? There was a singer called Buddy Holly, and he did the biography of the movie on him. And he lost a lot of weight for the movie. For this, he lost over 60 pounds to get in shape for it. Oh, yeah, definitely.
Well, he looks the part. He really does look the part.
And he was, like I say, one of the best bad guys. I mean, the best scene in that to me was definitely my favourite, one of the best fight scenes ever made. Because there was no wire work, there was no special effects. You could tell these two actors did this. They did this fight scene.
Do you want to shout out the title?
I don't mind if I do.
Such an amazing line, man.
Yeah, definitely.
I love that, man. I really, really love that scene. Because you just see all the police officers are surrounding him. You've got the helicopter, right? You've got the fire hydrant going off. He's killed one of their own, so he's going to get killed anyway.
Yeah.
But obviously it doesn't happen. But it gives him a run for his money, doesn't it?
He properly does. Because it's like, he doesn't care. And you look at that belt, that line when Murtagh's checking him for a weapon. And then he basically throws that jacket off and he's looking for your general friend. He's barbecuing himself on Hollywood Boulevard. I love that line. That was a good line. That was. And he says, so going on to Gary Busey about this role, he says that it was a crucial role that was settled, but when Gary Busey was asked for a chance to read for the part, he was an established star since the Academy Award nominee for the Buddy Holly story, which you need to watch. He had an audition for a film in so many years. He said he had butterflies. He'd never played a bad guy before. And he goes, and no one had seen him since he had lost 60 pounds and got in shape for this role. And he says that, but I decided to take the initiative and take the opportunity to work with Richard Donner, Joel Silver, Mel Gibson, Danny Glover, and they were constantly looking for somebody and to bring out the best performance of him. And it was one of his best performances. And he said they even talked him into dyeing his hair for this role. Because if you look at Gary Busey...
Yeah, he looks awesome in that.
Yeah, he definitely does. And here's one thing that's going to shock everybody. Did you know before this movie, Gary Busey was actually involved in a motorcycle accident? He went head first into a pavement.
Wow.
Wait, there's a bit more. And he actually died for a few moments. I couldn't believe that when I found that out. He actually died.
That's unbelievable.
He died for a few moments, and then he came back. He was brought back to life.
So I bet that
he flatlined.
I bet that just reshaped his belief in life.
Yeah, he wrote
I'm back alive. I've got another chance.
He wrote a book called Buseyisms.
Buseyisms.
Gary Busey, Buseyisms. That's what it's called. And it's quite an interesting book, to be honest with you. It is quite interesting. And he actually, like I said, he credits this movie. This is one of the few movies he did since his death, and he came back. And he goes, yeah, he cracked his head open. They had to replace it a little bit in there as well, because he went a bit. We don't know what happened, but he, like I said, the guy said himself that he nearly died. He died. Sorry, he did die. And then they brought him back.
Yeah, that was nearly it for him.
Yeah.
And then they brought him back. Gosh,
yeah.
That is unbelievable. That is just wow.
It was crazy.
Wow.
It was mad. And so like I say, one of my other favourite lines of Mr. Joshua definitely is when he goes to Riggs, tell me what I need to know and I promise I'll kill you quick. There's that one. And the other line when he goes to Murtagh when they're in the desert and he goes, Murtagh, Look around, look at the hardware. Riggs is gone. He's out of the picture. And they set him up as well, don't they? They say Riggs died that night. And he goes, right, bingo, Riggs is out of the picture. We can handle Murtagh, no problem. Riggs is the biggest threat to them, isn't he? If you look at it.
Well, when he starts firing, they go, damn, they've got Riggs. They already know Riggs is there because he's taken everybody out. It's damn, Riggs is here.
And Riggs is about to shoot Joshua. Yeah. I think if he killed Joshua there, the rest of the movie would have been boring without that fist fight. You guys, go on. What's the best line? What do you say, Jack? You want a shot at the title?
What do you say, Jack? Said, want a shot at the title?
Don't mind if I do.
Mind if I do? And you just think, it's just, and I just love his face expression. Like, what do you say, Jack? You want a shot?
He's cool and calm, Riggs. But Murtaugh, Joshua's like, don't mind if I do. Like, yeah, I could use the exercise. I'm going to use you as the punch bag. Well, it's even funny that scene in between the fights, where, as you mentioned, you have police officers just standing around. You have civilians standing around, and you had a guy. You had the helicopter shining the light on the fight. It's like the main feature. But in between, you know what was really funny? In between that fight, the dialogue, them two were dropping off at each other, when what's his name? Josh was going to Riggs. Come on, Riggs. Come on. And Riggs just bicycle kicks him through the lamppost. And he's like, you want to quit now? He's like taking the shirt off. Like, you want to quit now? Come on, let's do it. and then Murtaugh going to somewhere, when he's got that weapon, hasn't he? That long pole. And Riggs is just doing the whole ducking and diving. He's only got a wet shirt to use as a weapon. And then Murtagh's like going to one of the police officers, give me a nightstick. And he goes, Riggs! He catches it and he's like, go on, show me what you got, come on. And then he's like, the extra craziness of Riggs has just come out. This is what he's been looking for. And then when he's like when he's whacking Joshua with the back fist, and he goes, eat this, you sucker, and hits him again, knocks him down, hits him again. Then he picks him up, fireman carries him on the hood of the car. And then the scene where Riggs gets off the car, running towards Joshua. You can tell that was a jiu-jitsu move right there and then. He takes him to the ground, he's holding him down like that, trying to drown him. But what Murtagh's saying, let me take him, goes, no! The beast mode of Riggs turns on. That was just epic.
No! He made back off.
He's like, back off. That dialogue when he goes, back off, he goes, that's the beast mode right there of Riggs.
Yeah.
That's the best bit we've ever seen of Riggs, being beast mode. And he's like doing that, and then even when he's trying to do the triangle lock on him and the arm bar, and then Joshua is still hitting him a few times and all that, even after he's been defeated, and he's still trying to go for a gun. He doesn't care with this policeman there. No. He knows he's a dead man.
Yeah.
But then they just pull out the gun, and then he's like, shoots
fire at him, he's died. That's it, done.
But what was the other great scene was, when the scene where Riggs falls down and Murtagh's holding him up and goes, I got you, partner, don't you worry. Like, I got you back now. You've had my back since the beginning. I was too stupid to realise that, you had my back all along. Because that's Riggs just looking for a place of belonging, wasn't he?
Yes, he was.
So you said you had one you wanted to drop on.
Alright, so, when Murtagh tells Riggs that Hunsucker saved his life many times, in the Eardrang Valley in 1965.
Yeah.
Mel Gibson would later play Colonel Hal Moore in We Were Soldiers, which is an adaptation of that battle.
Oh, man, I should have seen that.
Yeah. That is actually quite interesting, isn't it? Because, nobody, I don't think anybody knew. I don't think they actually revealed that in the film.
No, they didn't.
So that's new for me. Yeah, wow.
Well, and also here's one I want to talk about. The casting scene.
Yeah.
You wouldn't believe this, and neither would anybody else who doesn't know this. Did you know Bruce Willis was considered to play Martin Riggs?
Well,
and Mel Gibson was considered to play John McClane.
Oh, wow.
So they swapped, both their movies would have been swapped over. And then, You know what, right? Willis, maybe.
I think Mel Gibson would have made a good John McClane.
I think so,
and I think Bruce Willis would have made a good Martin Riggs. But I still don't think it would have reached the level if that would have happened than if there was to stay as, Gibson and Willis in their respective roles anyway. So I just think that I'm really glad that didn't happen. Maybe an alternate universe where it has happened and they still think that, actually, this is pretty alright. But for me, I'm glad it didn't happen, because it wouldn't be the same. You know, I don't think the chemistry.
No.
Because we don't know if they would have got along or not. I mean, would I don't know. I really don't know. It might have been good, but still, I'm glad that it didn't happen.
I'm glad it didn't happen either, because like say, Mel Gibson was made to play Martin Riggs, just like he was made to play Mad Max.
He was.
And Bruce Willis.
And Braveheart.
Yeah. Go on, say the line. They'll never take our freedom.
You know what, let me drop a bomb on you. I haven't seen the film.
Get out.
I haven't seen Braveheart.
That's right.
It's like I haven't seen Top Gun. But if I was to talk about Tom Cruise film, it would have to be Mission Impossible.
Fair enough.
That's my Cruise films, man. That's my Cruise films.
Did you know the fight scene between Riggs and Joshua in the ending was originally 4 minutes longer, but they had to cut it down because
they had to. It would have been too long. That would have been too long.
That's why there was, because if you look at it, when the first scene, when you see them two, they're bone dry, aren't they? Then you cut to the next scene, now water's been hitting them already. Like, you just move from one bit to another and you got wet all
a bit weird. I mean, now you've said that, I'm realising now. I'm going, yeah, you're right. Yeah, so obviously a lot happened in between that. And
they got cut quite quick as well.
Yeah, perhaps the editing could have been a little bit better there.
Yeah.
You think, you know, but I guess that whatever happened in between that, you probably wouldn't have made sense to actually add something else there. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm not an editor, so I don't really know. But if they could have done something different, perhaps they could have done something where it would have led up to them getting like wet, but instead it just cut and then they were soaked.
There was no realism. Then again, it was the 80s. Everything was a bit more over.
Oh, the 80s was like proper OTT, wasn't it?
It definitely was. And so, you know, when both actors were signed to play in there, so they both, Gibson and Glover, flew back to so Gibson and Glover flew back home, because I think Gibson at that time lived in Australia. I watched an interview with him during the time when he made Lethal Weapon recently. He had a bit of an Australian accent on him. I was thinking, Mel Gibson's Australian? He talks proper politely and everything. He's like...
So am I?
Yeah,
how's it doing? I'm good.
Yeah, no, it's true. It was good. It was really good, that accent. That was. And then did you know, when before the casting director first suggested teaming Gibson with Danny Glover, but Murtagh had no ethnicity in the script. But then they decided when they met Gibson that, you know, let these two guys meet up and do something. And they said, okay, do it. Again, nobody but Danny Glover could have played Roger Murtaugh.
Yeah.
If you had anybody else, it never would have worked.
No, I mean, that's the thing. It's the same as Eddie Murphy and Axel Foley.
Yeah.
No one could have played him. No one could have played him. I don't care what anybody says. No one could have played John McClane. No one could have played Rocky. No one could have played...
The Terminator.
Nobody could have played Riggs. Nobody. Okay, yeah, Bruce Willis might have been a good shout for that.
Maybe a good second choice.
Yeah, great second choice. Second choice. But it's... still. I mean, what Bruce Willis to play the same psychotic, mentally driven Martin Riggs, where he's like, come on, you know. No, I can't see it.
I couldn't see that.
And the hair, he didn't have the hair.
Well, if you look at Willis, very rarely did you see him in movies when he had hair that it was a mullet.
Yeah,
you saw Stallone with the mullet when he's Rambo. You saw Gibson with the mullet when he's Riggs. You see Swayze with the mullet in a lot of movies. But you saw Kurt Russell.
Tango and Cash,
But no, now that you mentioned it,
also Death Proof. You know,
I still need to see Death Proof.
Right? Yeah, I haven't seen it, but I've seen a bit of it.
Same here.
And he had a mullet there.
Yeah.
He had a mullet all through all of his films.
Most of his movies, yeah. But the thing is, now that you mentioned it, if you picture Bruce Willis in that fight scene with Gary Busey, it never would have worked. Because you couldn't believe the fact that it's Bruce Willis doing those fight scenes.
It's just the thing is, Gibson plays the expression very well. It's just the eyes. He was like, come on. He was like, no man, this guy is actually crazy. He's actually insane, you know. But thankfully, the other guy's insane, so it's going to make a good matchup. But if that guy wasn't insane, he would have got his arse kicked there. He would have got his...
What do you say, Aiden? Would you like a shot at the title?
No, I'm good. I'm good. You know, I call you the silverback for a reason.
Why pre-tell? And okay, so what I was also gonna say was there was actually going to be an alternative opening for this role.
Okay.
So basically, there was going to be an alternative opening where Riggs is in a like say for example so he was in a bar. There's a scene where I've seen this deleted scene. It was all right of a deleted scene, and he's in a bar. He's having a few drinks by himself, and a couple of thugs ask him for his money, and he says to them, "Oh, I put all my money in the bank." And then he goes to them and goes, "Listen, go talk to the bartender, and he'll tell you not to screw with me." Because what you're going to do? One guy pulls out a knife, and Riggs just takes them both out easy. He throws one over his head, breaks one's arm, and grabs another one by his face and smacks his head into the wall. And another guy comes up towards him and goes, "What are you doing there, my friends?" And he pushes him up and goes, "Don't touch me, I'm a cop." And then the bartender goes to him, he goes, "Look, Riggs, you have to stop coming in here." He goes, "Why?" He goes, "What, are you kidding? This is better than the gym." And then he gives him a bottle of Jack Daniels. He gives him a bottle of Jack Daniels, and he goes to him, "I'll give you this on one condition." He goes, "What's that?" "Don't come in here again." It's all right, fine, I'll go.
You have to.
He goes, "Put that in it to do." He goes, "It's on the house, Riggs. Don't worry about it."
Yeah, just get that. Please, you're ruining my business.
Yeah, what was also funny was there was a scene before that, and the guy goes at the bar. He goes, "Are you driving, young blood?" And he goes, "You had enough?" He goes, "I have, but Jack still hasn't. Jack's had enough, but I'm okay." Jack Daniels, what he's referring to. And he goes, "All right, get me another bottle. I'm going to go to the bathroom." And then the fight takes place, and then he goes away. And then he goes, "Hey, are you driving?" He goes, "Yes, since I was 17. And then, and then that fight takes place. Did you know this is going to shock everybody. Here's a shocker. I'm going to get one of the best Riley reactions out of this dude here. There was a scene at the end where, after the fight, Riggs and Murtagh were originally going to separate. Oh. They were going to end their partnership there and then. Wow. They were shaking hands, and Riggs goes to him. Murtagh goes, "I'm considering retiring." He tells him, "Just don't bother." But they shake hands, and Riggs drives away. And they said, "No, we can't do that."
That would be terrible.
Then they cut it to the scene. Then they put in the scene where Riggs is basically gone to the house to say to Murtagh, "Thanks for saving my life."
That would have been awful.
It would have been awful.
That would have been. I mean, there wouldn't have been a sequel. There wouldn't have been a trilogy. There would be no point in that whatsoever.
No point whatsoever. And so going on to another scene. So training, how these actors train for this role, which is one of the best things ever. So they had to do 2 months. Gibson, Glover, and Busey all had to basically do 2 whole months of physical training and preparation for it. So as I mentioned, Gary Busey lost like 60 pounds. They had to do everything from like physical conditioning, weight work training, weapon handling, martial arts training. I saw some of the martial arts that they were doing. They were trained in, Gibson and Busey were trained in capoeira. They were also trained in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu by one of the Gracie family members, Royron Gracie, if that's how you pronounce his name. And they also called in a special forces instructor and judo champion, trained them in various techniques as well. And you can tell in that they proper transition.
It's the way the stance is.
I mean, the scene where what's his name? When the scene where basically Riggs is running, you can tell he did a lot of preparations for.
Oh yeah, man, he was like Tom Cruise in that, wasn't he? He just run.
I think he had a better running form. I think definitely a much better running form than Tom Cruise. And then what was even funny? But I love that scene when they're running with each other. And Joshua Kidd steals the guy's Audi. He goes, "Mind if I test drive your Audi?" And he kicks the guy out of the car. And then Murtagh, and then he's shooting at him. Like Murtagh jumps into him in the meantime to make sure he's all right. Yeah. But I love that scene before Murtagh goes and joins Riggs, and he goes to him. And when he goes to that police officer, he goes, "Please freeze." He goes, "Look, I'm a cop. Here's a badge. Get me back up and take care of the girl." Gets her out of harm's way, and he goes over to help Riggs out and everything. Because if he hadn't gone, God knows what would have happened to Riggs.
Yeah.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
And like I say, there was a director's cut where, like I said, I mentioned those scenes where Riggs is tackling the sniper, Murtagh's checking out if he still can shoot okay. And there was another scene that was a bit extended, you know, where Riggs goes to Murtagh, when Murtagh's asking, are you as good as you say you are? He goes, you're just going to have to trust me.
Great line. Great line.
Love that line. Going on to one last bit, the catchphrase, I'm too old for this shit. You know, even now, 30 years later, people still come up to Danny Glover in the streets and say to him, could you please say the line from Lethal Weapon? He goes, what line?
You do know it's 35 years later.
Yeah, 30 years later. And then they go to him, they go to him basically that the fact that, oh no, say it just like you said it in the movie. Say it just like how you said it in the movie. And he goes, all right, fine, I'll say it just like I said it in the movie. And people still love the line even all these years later.
You can't not love that line.
Yeah.
I'm too old for this shit. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
We'll be saying that one day.
I think I'm staying it now. I mean, fucking your leg. Alright.
It's not wrong there if you are.
I mean, yeah. Alright, so, okay, so here's another one then. Alright. What was your favourite scene in the whole movie? So do 2 favourite scenes each.
Alright. So, do you want a shot at the title? That's one of my favourite movies of the whole film because it was the way he says it.
Yeah.
It's the setting. It's just the way his eyes are. Where you say, Jack, do you want a shot at the title? I don't mind if I do. It's just, and then you just know it's going to be a great fight, man. Especially when he goes like, come on. Do you want to shot at the title?
Like, it's like, come on, Riggs, come on.
Yes. Oh,
man.
man.
I mean, he's bleeding. He's bleeding more than Riggs is. If you look at it, he's cut all over his face. Yeah. And
my second one is it's got to be the firing range where he goes, where he puts the target all the way back and he's like
that was a good scene. Yeah.
He goes, he just gets the gun. He's like, and he goes. He goes. He just shows him. He's got a smile. He's drew a smile on the target, and he's passed it over to Murtaugh. He's like,
"Do you sleep with that thing?" And he does.
Yeah.
You look at it in the beginning when you see Riggs for the very first time, because you know the scene where you see him in the trailer. That they changed the bar scene to this scene because they thought the bar scene was way too dark. It was way too dark for him. They said we have to show Riggs with a bit of lightness.
Yeah.
We understand he's a bit of a dark character.
Yeah. My third favourite scene is where Murtagh is just where the driver, where the general, McAllister is coming towards him in the car, and he sees him. And Murtagh just goes, no way you live. No way. And he just goes, he just that with his neck, bang. And he goes,
bang.
Bang. So you're like, oh.
It's a good shot.
It was right in the head. And you think, damn, man.
He's been hanging around with Riggs too long.
I love that scene because it's like, no way you live. No way. You think that is, I love the line. There's so many good lines in this film.
That was the great thing about this movie. It had great action, great actors, great directing, great one-liners, dialogues that will last forever, and it worked. They're still the best of friends even till today, Gibson and Glover.
Yeah,
I'm not surprised.
They created legacy together.
Definitely. And one of my favourite scenes in this movie was, in a way, when you get to meet the 2 characters for the very first time. You have the loner psychopathic cop, Riggs. And then you also have the cool, quiet, happy family man, Murtagh.
Yeah, the one who's thinking about his pension.
And his retirement.
He's retiring soon.
Great other scene is when they meet each other for the first time. I just love those scenes. Like, how did you 2 meet in the beginning? It's always an interesting question to ask. He's like, Raj, meet your new partner.
He's like, partner?
Partner again?
He's like, I'm too old for this shit.
Alright, another one. The scene where Riggs is getting tortured.
Yeah. Yes.
That was a good scene. I don't mean that in that way, but
yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah,
it's the way he gets out of it's even cool. When he just headbutts the guy. I mean, how many times does Riggs throw his headbutts on people? And it's like, first is the guy who's holding a hostage. Oh, yeah, that's another good scene where he goes, "Oh look," he goes, "The guys, we want 100 grand for all this," and he's like, "I can't afford that on my salary, but I'll tell you what, I'll do this instead. What if I take the whole statue off you guys for free, and you jokers can go to jail?" He goes, "I can read you your rights, but you guys probably know what your rights
are."
Yeah,
and then he says that this is fake. Says that the badge is fake. And
then he's doing the Three Stooges thing. And he's like, "I'm a real cop, that's a real badge, and this is a real gun." That was a good line as well. And then he's like, "Shoot me, shoot me, shoot me, shoot me."
Yeah,
and
shoot me.
That guy's scared himself, and he's holding the gun and goes, "What's with this dude?" And then he just grabs him and just headbutts him.
Yeah, headbutts him.
That was one headbutt. The second headbutt's got to be when that guy's torturing him.
Yeah.
But and then the third headbutt is when Joshua hits him. So when he hits Joshua, but Joshua headbutts him back. He gives, like I said, gives as good as he gets. And that scene where he's in the fight scene where Murtagh's shouting at him, goes, "Get him, kid, he's yours. Get him, kid." Yeah, hit him like that. They're all cheering him on, aren't they?
Yeah.
And that was another great fight scene.
"Kill him, Riggs!"
But then he's kind of like made peace with himself, and he says at the end, he goes, "He's not worth it. He's not worth me killing."
That's when you know that
Murtagh
has gone, okay, he hasn't killed anyone. Well, obviously he's killed a lot of people, but he's like, "No, it's not worth it," and then he just lets him go, and you think, "Wow, okay, he did that." So now he's finally realised. I mean, I think that's a really good point for Riggs.
Yeah,
it's like a revelation for him. It's like people don't need to die to be punished, and he don't need to die to be punished because he's been punishing himself. He's blaming himself for a lot of things. He probably blames himself for his wife's death. Even though it wasn't his fault anyway.
But like I say, there's a scene where there's in Lethal Weapon 2 is where you find out what was what caused it all in the first place. You get more of a depth into Riggs's backstory.
Yeah, which you need.
You definitely need that in this one. So I want to talk about okay, that was a good scene. So you know how you have so many, you know how back in the 80s you always had those cool taglines like, "Pairing this guy with this guy is a match made in hell."
Yeah.
There's so many good taglines for this movie. He goes, here's the first one. And he goes, if these two can learn to stand each other, the bad guys don't stand a chance. That's a good one.
That's a really good tag.
Number 2 was, the second one was, pity the bad guys. Not bad. So after 20 years on the force, police detective Roger Murtaugh has come face to face with the most dangerous killing machine in Los Angeles, his new partner. Alright, here's another. 2 cops. Glover carries a weapon. Gibson is one. He's the only LA cop registered as a lethal weapon. And he was right. Because remember, he says that to him in the movie. He goes, your file says you're heavy into martial arts, so that Tai Chi and killer stuff
that makes you
a lethal weapon. And then, so on a scale of a score of 1 to 10, what do you rate Lethal Weapon?
Score 1 to 10, I'll give it 8.
I'll give it a 9.
Yeah, it's a 9. It's a great film.
Yeah,
it's a great
we're
film.
not too old for this either.
No. We've got a long while yet. All
right, Raj. And then it's funny. He's always one calls him Raj, and the other one's always calling him Riggs. Very rarely does he call him Martin. Very rarely.
Riggs sounds a lot cooler, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
Martin. Like, okay, Riggs. It looks like I say it's like Riggs. I will stop it now. Riggs.
Alright.
Damn it, Riggs.
Yeah, definitely.
It's like a lot more like Stone Cold Steve Austin. Damn it, Riggs.
Yeah, definitely. Alright, so that's all the time we have for today's podcast. Aidan, always a pleasure to be working with you, as always. Definitely. And don't forget if you made it all the way to the end of this podcast, don't forget to click subscribe, turn on notifications, because we do have more podcasts coming your way. We're going to be gone for a couple of weeks.
I am going on holiday.
Yes.
So next Sunday I am going on a cruise around the Mediterranean.
Definitely.
2 weeks. Not bad at all. Really looking forward to it.
Well, you deserve it. Put it that
way. Yeah. Work's draining. Life can be draining sometimes. But yeah, really looking forward to it. think we all need to get away sometimes, don't we?
Yeah, we definitely do. I mean, it'd be nice if we can all just, like, all of us take a trip together, innit?
Well, yes, we can. There's no, there's nothing stopping us. Other than, I can't split myself in two and go away with you while I'm on a cruise.
Yeah, you're not that expendable called the multiple man who can be in 5 places at once.
Yeah, I'm not Liquid Man either, who can,
T1000, bro. Yeah.
But he's the Liquid Man, isn't he? That's what his nickname is, Liquid Man.
I think, no, I don't know, is it?
Yeah, maybe. The Liquid Man, yeah. Because he is liquid, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. Alright, so that's, like I say, don't forget to follow us on all social media outlets as well. And like I say, it's always been a pleasure. So go enjoy yourself, bro, and we'll definitely see you soon. And when we come back, we'll definitely, when we continue on with the Lethal Weapon saga.
Yes.
And like I said, I still can't believe we made it to 25th episode.
25. It's not bad at all. And there'll be a lot more to come.
Definitely. And don't forget, the AAT'S rocked.
They do rock.
Yeah.
What this guy said.
What this guy agreed with. This is Addy.
This is Aiden.
Out.